Alright, so in the last video, what I focused on was using the chromatic scale to develop certain basic skills to move your fingers and just for you to get more and more familiar with that. So what are the things you can focus on? So I gave 3 variants that you can use just to get started that cover different aspects of technique for your left hand. But now what I thought I'd do is I'd focus a little bit more and clarify some of those things that are needed. So I'll use the similar or the same exercises and show you how you can develop your own variants of those, and you don't need a tutorial or anything to do that. When you get started and you understand the concept, you can create your own patterns and your own exercises based on what you need to do. So let's get started with that. The first exercise I showed was a regular chromatic scale, but with the fingers planted until you have to play the note. So I'll play 3, 4, keep all my fingers there. When I move to the next string, I'm going to move one finger at a time. See that? So that was the exercise. You play all the way down and you play the same 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern all the way up. You don't reverse it. Try reversing it and see what happens, and you'll realize why for that particular variant we're using only the forward pattern. So you have to recognize that that's not the easiest movement to perform, especially as a beginner. I remember when I tried it for the very first time, it was surprisingly difficult. It looks quite easy, but it wasn't very easy. But you stick with it with consistency, and you'll see your fingers getting used to it, and automatically you develop this very nice technique and ability to keep your fingers close to the strings, which is very important for quick and smooth movements. You don't want your fingers flying off the fretboard after every note. So what are some of the things you can do to this exercise in order to make it a little more beginner friendly or realistic for you to accomplish, especially when you're using a metronome? So one thing that you can do, this applies with any exercise, you can play each note more times. So if I play each note 4 times, that will give me enough time to prepare my fingers for the next movement. Observe. So I'm bringing my 3rd finger, 1, 2, I'm bringing my pinky, 2, 3, right? So I miscounted over there, but that's what happens when you practice. You develop it, right? That's the whole point. It's not just going to be perfect every time. But that aside, what I wanted to show you there was when I'm playing 4 times, or take the pinky, by the time I reach the 3rd note, my index finger is ready and moving to the next note. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And so on and so forth. So now that becomes comfortable. Let's say 4 is still too quick for you. Do 8. Why not? Do 12. Do as many as you need. But what you want is to have the control over that finger, right? So now let's say you get better at it. You realize that you're improving. What do? Cut down on the number of notes. Do 3 notes. Right? 3 is fine. Do 2. Right? 2 is fine. Then play them one after the other. Right? That's as easy as it is. So you can do that with any exercise. And in doing so, you can develop so many variants of these exercises for yourself. And that's the important thing. You need to learn how to get that independence as a musician to improve on your own. You can't always be reliant on tutorials and books and anything else like that. The whole point is that you need to be able to develop these on your own. So when you understand the concept, you understand music, you can do it by yourself. And that's the goal. That's the goal, I believe, for everyone. Because eventually you might just come across something that you do not have a tutorial for, right? So maybe you should start a channel at that point and share your discoveries with the world. But that's how it works, right? So keep that in mind. So that's one thing that you can do with that particular exercise. Let's look at the next exercise that we did, which was the little lopsided chromatic scale, which is good for finger independence. We were doing it this way. So one finger on top, second finger down here on the string below, third finger up there, pinky below, and you keep moving down like this. So what can you do with this? Well, you can play it down and back up like we did last time, or you can increase the number of notes on your way down by reversing the pattern, by reversing the shape. So if this is your shape, how do I reverse this shape? I do this. It's that simple. See? Now what happens when I apply it to the whole pattern? See that? So now I'm starting from the top, going down, top string, bottom string. I switch positions, bottom string, top string, bottom string, top string. And I keep doing that. Alright? This is something that even I just thought of very, very recently, just some time before making this video. So I will continue to work on this and develop the reverse playing as well. But you can do that as well. But that's the whole point, right? You see what I mean? You can just make it up on your own as you go, based on what you need to develop. And you know best, most of the time, what you need to develop or what's lacking in your playing. All right. Let's see what we can do with this. If you want to generate levels of progressing in this exercise, maybe that was too advanced for you. How do you take it down a notch or 12? Well, why don't you start with just 2 fingers and just start with this movement. That's our initial movement, okay? Just practice placing your fingers. Don't even pick. Just practice placing your fingers and walking down. Play those notes, right? Now we come to this switch, right? This jump. Just practice that. This way, lift your fingers this way, and just keep doing this. Same thing with these two. Now that's harder. The ring finger and the pinky are notoriously difficult to control, but not impossible. And keep working your way down. So I'm trying to tap them harder just for emphasis. So it's not me just moving my fingers, but you get the point. Just break it down to the smallest unit and work on that and build up from there. All right, that's one. Let's take the final one, and that was skipping strings. Now that itself is pretty sufficient to work on, because you can skip as many strings as you want. So we skipped in that instance just 1 string. You can skip all 5 strings and go right to the bottom, right? So that it's a huge jump. Right? So you can do as big of a jump as you need to do as you develop, as you progress. But if you want to vary patterns, let's say to make it a little more challenging, and this is more to do with coordination, because we can get very used to just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So how do we keep ourselves sharp and active when we want to do this? Change the numbering pattern. So if we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do 1, 2, 4, 3. Right? If that's simple enough, or you're getting better at that, change it again. 1, 2, 4, 3. Let's do 1, 3, 4, 2. Right? Let's do 1, 3, 2, 4. Let's do 1, 4, 2, 3. Right? Or 1, 4, 3, 2. So many things you can do. So yeah, there is some little insight into expanding on those exercises. Hopefully this gave you better clarity and sufficient things to work on. And if you want still more, let me know, and let me know if this helped.